So there's no effort by Amnesty International
there is no
corroborate
effort whatsoever.
what they were saying?
Now, from the beginning when they started all this, and earlier on in our operation, the military make effort to adjust. And they invited them to come and see what we are doing. They say they are not coming. They have never interfered with us in anything.
I find it interesting. I mean, it's a good thing that you point out that the Nigerian military did try to adjust. So in other words, some of their reports could have had credibility for the Nigerian military to enforce or to ensure that a change
when they started
looked out
when they started complaining about our human rights violation, there was something we needed to do something. For instance, we know that this kind of crisis was just the kind of war we are going into. The insurgency and terrorism war was just new to everybody. So what we did was to ensure that all military institutions introduce courses in human rights and law of armed conflict. As I'm talking to you now, I was the commandant of Army School of Population and Information Lagos. That course is ongoing, and that was a directive to all training institutions. And
we also see collaborations with other international military on human rights, which goes to enforce the story that indeed there could have been human rights violations.
Yes, from the beginning, we cannot say an institution like that, maybe one place or the other there was no infraction. But even the things that we have done to change that narrative, Amnesty have never changed.
Let us now look at this particular one. I mean, I sincerely and honestly do not want the focus to be Amnesty International because they're not here to give their own side of the story.
No, but they are not here. On Tuesday, when their report was taken on channels,
yes,
they reported everything that they say. So the Amnesty were not, the military was not around to challenge anything they said.
Amnesty International released a statement. The Nigerian military statement was also read in response to what Amnesty International had said.
No, it wasn't read.
I'm afraid we do have reports that, I mean, I saw it being read on television shortly after Amnesty International's report was being read. But let us look at the questions that Nigerians are raising, because Nigerians do have a right to question what had happened in Dapchi. The military had told us on more than one occasion, and a lot of Nigerians believe, and still do believe, that they have made tremendous progress in the Northeast. However, there are questions as to how it was that we could have allowed this kind of situation happen. You have explained that indeed the land is vast, and of course a lot of people understand and appreciate that the land is vast. But don't we have a response situation in place whereby for people, for areas that we're not able to deploy troops to, maybe for shortage of personnel, people understand that the military is stretched. Could we not have had a response team, especially for vulnerable areas that, you know, could be the target of Boko Haram?
Yes, the question people are asking about is why should the Boko Haram go into schools and pick these girls without the military don't have the manpower to deploy in all the schools. It is not possible. Well, the government has taken some action where the civil defense and the police have been authorized to move into schools. But for the military to deploy in schools like what people have been asking, it is very difficult. It is not possible.
You also acknowledge on the program, I want to be sure that I heard you well, that indeed troops were deployed to the area around Dapchi before that abduction. They were withdrawn, is that right?
Yes, they were withdrawn out of Dapchi for another deployment.
When was that?
They were redeployed on the 10th of January. And this attack took place on the 19th. Now, something you must understand.
On the 19th of February.
February, yes. Now, Dapchi has been a very, very quiet place. And there have never been any attack in Dapchi. Go and find out. So even the troops that were deployed in Dapchi, they were there to protect the particular bridge. That we are afraid that in case these people come, they will destroy that bridge. And so when there was need, the theater commander, or the commanders around there decided to redeploy these people. It has become an issue now because Dapchi schoolgirls were abducted. Ordinarily, it wouldn't have been an issue. Because from the analysis of the commanders on the ground, they did not see any threat in Dapchi before this time.
Can you say outrightly that that there was no kind of subterfuge within your forces in terms of any kind of a cooperation with these terrorists to take these girls?
We can't say that because the military were not there. And if anybody find out anything otherwise, the military is a very disciplined organization. If we'll discover that there is anybody in our midst who is working against the institution, you'll be taken out. And you'll be tried accordingly.
General, I want to ask, was the military aware of the conversations or the negotiations that led to the release of the Dapchi girls?
No.
You didn't participate in the negotiations?
No, you have to understand that the military is in place to help the government of the day. There are issues that would have become very serious one, and the government can decide to use diplomacy and solve the problem. So the government decides whatever.
But General, we know the Department of State Security kind of spearheaded these negotiations, and I want to ask, the federal government has been very insistent that they did not pay out any money. But then ultimately the question beckons, what did they give? Because we know that the DSS has in its custody several Boko Haram commanders, for example. There was no outright kind of rebuttal by the government that we did not give some of these Boko Haram commanders back over. What do you know about that, and what do you think was given, or what do you know was given in exchange?
Do you know how we measure loyalty in the military? Normally when people when they say they are loyal, I ask them how many percent. Somebody will say they are 80%, 90%, 99%. The military is completely subjugated to the political authority. And if the government say they did not pay anything, I don't even have any reason to think otherwise.